She's not crying because she's sad. That's just what they do, emotional, manipulative. Just ignore her. That sound didn't come from the speakers. It wasn't a customer complaining nor a drunk losing control. It came from the second-floor breakroom, the place that was supposed to be safe. Marcus Ellison stopped in the middle of the gleaming wood-paneled hallway next to the expensive Italian coffee machine. A hint of vanilla lingered in the air. The high ceiling, adorned with a crystal chandelier, reflected his image across 1,000 tiny facets. Everything was perfect, like a showroom for American civility. And then, that sound. A man's voice. Smooth, cold, dripping with petty authority. A quiet scoff followed. Barely audible, but enough to rip an old memory from Marcus's chest. He froze. Outside, a light rain fell over San Francisco. The gray clouds sealed the sky, locking the world in silence. Marcus slipped a hand into the pocket of his apron fingers, brushing the fake name tag, Trevor. New trainee. It had been 10 years since he last did this, posing as a new employee to quietly observe a branch. But nothing was like Branch 47. The ground floor was a premium fresh foods market, upscale clientele, glass displays, everything spotless and gleaming. The second floor housed internal operations offices, break room, and small meeting rooms, all designed like a boutique hotel. But here in this curated elegance, he had just heard something no CEO was ever meant to hear. Then came the softest sniffle, barely noticeable over the whirring coffee machine. Marcus leaned against the wall, heart pounding. He wasn't planning to intervene. Just listen. She'll probably quit soon anyway. They always do. Drama queens. A woman's voice now. Oily, smooth, lazy like someone idly chewing on a nail. Marcus didn't need to look to know exactly who they were talking about. Jada Brooks, 27, sat at the table in the break room. Her beige uniform was slightly wrinkled at the cuffs. On the table, a homemade sandwich in a plastic bag and a small carton of milk. One hand held a tissue. The other touched her phone screen, where a photo of her 5-year-old son beamed in a cheap Spider-Man costume. Jada wasn't sobbing. She didn't dare. The last time she let herself cry, they called her disruptive. Now she just bowed her head, letting silent tears vanish into her shirt sleeve. Cut back to Marcus, straightening up, eyes darkening. On the outside, he was just another trainee in an apron, black slip-on shoes, offering polite nods and quiet smiles when customers asked for directions. But inside, a chill had started crawling down his spine, an old, familiar current from someone who once endured injustice, but now had the power to confront it. Then came Carter's voice, the branch manager, from just beyond the door. "We didn't fire her because we're nice. She knows she's on thin ice. Let her cry." Marcus took a step back. His gaze was like a blade, but his lips still smiled. He didn't barge in, didn't expose anyone. Not yet. He turned and walked down the wooden staircase, the overhead lights catching every step. From above, Horizon Market looked like a dream, golden lights, soft, jazz, courteous staff, pristine displays. But from the inside, he had seen the rot, and he would be the first to dig. Sometimes the most dangerous rot doesn't stink. It shines. The glass doors slid open for the 4th time in 3 minutes. Jada Brooks gave a slight nod, a smile blooming on her lips like a dim flashlight in the fog. "Hi there. Welcome to Horizon. Let me know if you need help with anything, okay?" Her voice was as light as a breeze, but every word landed with perfect timing and tone. Marcus stood a few meters away, holding a fake clipboard, playing the role of a new trainee in the inventory department. Every step he took had purpose, and his eyes behind non-prescription glasses never left Jada. Not because she stood out, but because she was trying to disappear. Jada always stood straight. Never talked to coworkers unless necessary. Never snacked. Never laughed too loudly. Never frowned, no matter how rude a customer got. She survived by dialing herself down to the most non-threatening version possible, as if walking barefoot across a minefield no one warned her about. And Marcus, more than anyone, understood that kind of silence. He had seen it in the mirror at 23, the only black man in an office where everyone laughed around the coffee machine except him. It wasn't fear. It was a habit. Survival instinct. Zone 2 needs a cart restock. Carter's voice came from behind, calm but laced with command. Jada nodded. Yes, sir. She pulled the cart toward the freezer aisle without a word. Marcus followed at a distance, pretending to scan barcodes. For a second, their eyes met. Less than a second. But Marcus saw it, a smile that never touched the eyes. At the bakery section, a woman in her 50s blonde leather jacket snapped, "Why does it take so long to get rye bread sliced here? This is ridiculous." Jada was helping the customer in front of her, but tilted her head and gently said, "I'll be with you in just a moment, ma'am. I appreciate your patience." Marcus saw clearly Jada had been nothing but respectful, but when the woman stormed off, muttering, "Unbelievable," Carter appeared immediately. "I saw you kept the customer waiting too long. Let that happen again, and you know what it means." The words landed in front of 3 other employees. Jada gave a faint smile. No rebuttal. No asking why Madison, who was 15 minutes late this morning, got free pastries. No asking why she was always the one reprimanded, even though no customer ever complained. The smile. Still there. But fading. Mid-morning. Checkout aisle. Marcus was stacking items on a shelf when something made him pause. An elderly black man dressed in a worn suit and baseball cap walked up to Jada's register. His hands trembled, but his eyes were bright. Jada leaned down to help him place his items on the conveyor belt. "Take your time, Mr. Melvin," she said softly. "You've got all the time in the world with me." He smiled shakily, pulling out his wallet. "You are always so kind, miss. Just like my daughter was." Jada placed her hand over his. Didn't say a word. Just nodded. As he left, Carter walked by and snapped, "Don't get too chatty. It's a business, not a therapy session." Marcus saw Jada's hand tighten around the pen, but then she exhaled and smiled again. That smile was no longer joy. It was a barricade, a final piece of armor. Marcus headed into the back storage area, hands in his pockets, silent. Part of him wanted to step out, say his real name, tear off Carter's mask right now. But another part, the part that once sat outside a classroom because a teacher thought he cheated, even though he was the only one with a perfect score, that part knew to expose a rotten system you need proof, not emotion. And the emotion was rising in him like floodwater behind a dam. As Marcus prepared to re-enter the floor, Hannah, the assistant manager, brushed past without looking at anyone, but loud enough to be heard. "She should be lucky she even has this job." Marcus froze in the hallway. Didn't turn, didn't approach. He just pulled out his phone, hit record, not out of vengeance, but because the truth needs its own voice. Noon. Breakroom. Jada sat at a table near the window, opening a small lunchbox, white rice, a bit of chicken, a few apple slices for her son she'd pick up later. She'd just lifted her first bite when the door opened. Carter walked in. Didn't look at her. Opened the fridge, grabbed a soda, then spoke into the air like he was talking to no one in particular. "Some people just don't fit the culture, you know. They can't handle excellence." Then he looked at her. Half a smirk. "Don't take it personally. We just hold people to high standards here." Jada set down her chopsticks, nodded. "I understand." She smiled, but her Her hand was pressed hard against the table. Marcus stood outside the door, back against the wall still. They taught us that excellence looks a certain way, dresses a certain way, talks a certain way. But what if excellence just sat quietly, eating her lunch? Hannah poked her head into the break room without knocking. "Meeting in 5. Carter wants you at the front." Jada gave a slight nod. "I'll be right there." Her voice dissolved into the hum of the air conditioner. No expression, no resistance. Hannah left, the door closed. But not all the way. Jada stayed seated. She didn't get up, didn't tuck her lunchbox away like she usually did. She looked at her phone, a message from the daycare. Eli had a small fall, no injury. "We gave him juice and he's okay now." Below the message was a photo of her son, cheeks flushed pink, reaching for a ball. Jada stared at his smile. Then, as if struck by something nameless, she folded over the table, her shoulders trembling. No sobbing sound. Just one hand raised to her face like shielding herself from the entire world, and a single tear fell onto her half-eaten lunch. Marcus was outside, not on purpose. He just turned into the hallway to grab a shipment box, and then he stopped. The door wasn't closed. The angle was just right. He didn't need to hear it, didn't need to see much. Just the light from the window falling diagonally across Jada's shoulder, creating the image of someone trying to hide her pain, with nowhere left to hide. Marcus clenched his fists. A part of him wanted to walk in place, a hand on her shoulder, and say something. But he knew comfort wouldn't heal what had been quietly burning for so long. And then footsteps. Carter's voice right behind Marcus. "Told you she'd crack eventually. They always do." Marcus didn't turn. Didn't ask who they were. He didn't need to. Behind him, Carter chuckled softly at Hannah, still chewing the last bite of his cookie. "Overly sensitive. Give them a little pressure and bam, waterworks." This time Marcus didn't pull out his phone. He didn't need proof anymore. He had the truth. The problem wasn't what Carter said. It was that Carter thought it was normal, and everyone had gotten used to it. Evening, checkout counter. Jada was back at work. No one saw her red eyes. No one asked. No one dared. Marcus stood in the produce section, clipboard in hand, eyes on her. A young father approached with a little girl in a stroller. Jada bent down to greet the girl, handing her a bear-shaped sticker. The child giggled. That smile was real. Marcus saw it, and a thought pierced his temple like a cold needle. She doesn't need protection. She needs to be seen. After work staff trickled out, the break room was empty save for the low, crackling hum of an old jazz tune on the radio. Marcus sat alone at a table, pretending to jot notes in his intern log. His hands didn't write a thing. The door swung open. Carter walked in, unclipping his walkie-talkie from his waistband. "Tough crowd today, huh?" He chuckled, stretching, grabbing a soda from the fridge. Marcus nodded politely. "Busy, yeah." Carter sat down uninvited. "Let me tell you something, Trevor." His tone shifted to that fake, friendly mentor drawl. "You're new, so I'll be honest. You want to survive in retail, don't get attached. These folks," he nodded toward the door, "they come with baggage, single moms, attitudes, victim stories. It's exhausting." Marcus said nothing, just smiled like a good trainee. "But me, I get results. No hand-holding, no drama. We run this place clean." He raised the soda can and tapped it against the table. "That's management, kid." Marcus gave a slight nod. "Right. Clean." Behind him, in the frosted reflection of the locker cabinet, Carter's silhouette was visible, sipping soda on top of ruins he'd never bothered to look down and see. That night, Marcus didn't drive straight back to headquarters. He drove in circles through Sunset District, where small apartments leaned against each other, golden light spilled through curtains, and kids rode bikes beneath street lamps. He thought about his father, the man who once told him, "Politeness is the weapon of the weak." He used to believe that, until he realized the real weapon is action. At the final intersection, his tires slowed. Marcus stared into the red light. The light didn't change, but he did. His voice echoed in his mind, low cold, slicing through the dark like a scalpel. "You call that management? I call it cannibalism dressed in smiles and warning slips. Tomorrow, let's swap roles and see how it feels." The light turned green. He pressed the gas. "Can we talk?" Jada's voice was soft as morning wind, but something in her eyes made Marcus straighten his back. They were standing at the loading dock behind the supermarket where shipments were dropped off, where there were no cameras, no managers, only the scent of plastic and cold concrete. Marcus nodded. Of course. Jada didn't look at him right away. She smoothed out her apron and took a breath. "I just want to ask." She swallowed. "Do you think I've done something wrong, honestly?" Marcus didn't respond immediately. He looked at her hair tied neatly back, eyes sunken from lack of sleep, hands bearing old burn marks, probably from a gas stove at home. What he saw was someone who didn't need to try to be strong, because she'd long since learned to live against the wind. "No," he said. "You haven't done anything wrong?" Jada gave a small smile, a paper-thin smile. "Then why do they all look at me like I owe them something?" Marcus didn't answer, but his gaze softened. "Because this system doesn't need you to be wrong. It only needs you to exist in the wrong place." 9:03 a.m. the next morning, Horizon Market Branch 47. No one recognized the man walking through the main doors in a gray coat, velvet cross-striped tie, and leather briefcase. But the new janitor, the one who wore the name tag that said Trevor, was nowhere to be seen. Marcus stepped up to the front desk. His voice was calm but firm. "Carter Rowe, please. Tell him Marcus Ellison is here to see him." That name hit like a jolt of electricity. The receptionist froze, eyes wide, as if she'd just seen a Hollywood star. A nearby employee dropped his pen. The security guard scanned the access card, his hand trembling. 2 minutes later, Carter came rushing down from the upstairs office, a nervous grin plastered on his face. "Mr. Ellison, I didn't know you were visiting today." "Clearly," Marcus replied, his face unreadable. "Let's go to the break room." Carter tried to speak, but Marcus's eyes left no room for negotiation. The break room door opened. No one inside. Just white light plastic chairs and a humming fridge. Marcus sat at the center table, removed his watch, and placed it gently on the surface. Precise. Deliberate. "Sit." Carter sat. His eyes darted around. Marcus opened his briefcase, pulled out a thick envelope, set it on the table. Inside, photographs from blind spot cameras, transcripts of audio recordings, copies of unsent complaint forms. "Let me save you the effort," Marcus said. "I know about the write-ups, the double standards, the language, the hallway conversations. I've been here. I've heard it all." Carter raised his eyebrows. "With all due respect, sir, retail is hard. People are sensitive. Misinterpretations happen. Don't." Marcus cut him off, not loud, but uninterruptible. From his inner jacket pocket, he pulled something small, a dark graphite business card embossed in silver foil. The front bore only 2 words. Marcus Ellison, Chief Executive Officer. He placed it on the table like a verdict. Carter fell silent. Marcus leaned forward. His voice was low, like water running behind stone. "I built this company so that my son would grow up in a world better than the one I did. And right now, I wouldn't let him walk through your doors. Not because of the customers, because of you. A minute passed. Only the hum of the air conditioner remained. Then Marcus stood, picked up the business card. Leave your badge. Security will walk you out in 10. Carter stammered, You're terminating me just like that. Marcus looked at him, not angry, not contemptuous, just tired. No, Carter, you terminated yourself. I'm just here to confirm it. 10 minutes later, the entire store knew. Someone saw Carter walking across the main floor. No blazer, no radio, no words, just walking. The aisles went silent as he passed, and at register 3, Jada was still ringing up an elderly woman. She didn't look up. Only when the bell over the door chimed again did she hear a whisper from the next customer in line. I think your boss just saved your job. At the end of the shift, Marcus approached Jada. No apron, no disguise, just himself in a white shirt sleeves, rolled up eyes steady. I owe you an apology, he said. Jada paused. For what? For seeing everything too late. She shook her head. You saw it. That's still a blessing. Marcus gave a soft smile. It's not a blessing. It's a responsibility. He held out his hand. Jada Brooks, I'd like to nominate you for the Regional Management Training Program. This time it's not to give you a chance. It's to make something right. This system needs people like you. Jada looked at that hand. 1 second, 2, then she took it. Not every hero needs applause. Some just need a business card, a well-timed sentence, and the courage to stand up when it's easier to walk away. 3 months later. The glass doors of the Horizon West Regional Training Center slid open gently under the soft spring light. Inside, the space glowed with sunlight filtering through the soaring skylight. Gone were the smells of cold plastic and the growl of air conditioning, in their place the scent of oak wood and soft lo-fi music playing from the sound system. Jada Brooks stepped inside, a bag on her shoulder, holding a score sheet from her management trainee evaluation. The badge pinned to her crisp new shirt no longer said Cashier. Today it read Jada Brooks, Management Associate Trainee. She paused for a few seconds in front of the long hallway mirror, hair neatly tied up. The faint scar on her wrist had faded, but her eyes still carried that same gaze, clear, steady, and unyielding. Only this time there was no fear hiding behind the lashes. In the central office, Marcus was reviewing a report. On his desk lay dozens of anonymous feedback letters from employees across the branches. Since the whistle line system launched, the things once buried beneath fridge shelves and whispered behind breakroom doors now had a place to be heard. An assistant knocked. Jada's here, sir. Marcus nodded. Send her in. She entered, not timid, not stiff, just the right amount of confidence, just the right weight. Marcus stood and extended his hand. Welcome to the other side of the table. Jada smiled. Still smells like coffee and paperwork. Some things never change. They both sat. No formalities. Just two people who had lived through the shadowy side of the system, now sitting face to face on the same side. Marcus handed her a folder. This is the new framework, Internal Justice Protocol. You'll be piloting it at 3 branches. Jada opened the folder. Inside were complaint handling flowcharts, a checklist to filter out racial bias in performance reviews, and one handwritten note, dignity before policy. She looked up. You trust me to lead this? Marcus nodded. Not because I trust, because you already proved it. In silence, in endurance, and still holding on to your dignity. That's more than enough. The following week, At branch 47, a small sign appeared in the breakroom corner. You are more than your smile. If you need to speak, this room listens. Many didn't notice, but anyone who had ever been forced into silence recognized it as a declaration. Jada returned to the store for the first time as a trainee supervisor. Madison, the one who used to be favored, was now a junior trainer. She hesitated when she saw Jada walk in, but Jada simply smiled gently. Don't worry. I don't believe in payback. I believe in clean slates. One day, Mr. Melvin stopped by again. Jada leaned down this time, handing him a gift bag with pastries and fruit. On the house, for our most charming regular. He smiled. You're glowing, miss. Feels different when the light's coming from the inside, she said softly. At the quarterly leadership meeting, Marcus stood to present the results of the reform. A slide appeared showing Jada's photo along with the words, "Compassion is not a soft skill, it's the foundation of justice." Applause echoed not because of growth figures, but because everyone saw a place once thought unchangeable had changed. At day's end, Marcus left the office late. He stepped into the glass hallway looking out at the city. Lights shining, traffic flowing. Somewhere down there, employees were still forcing smiles for the paycheck, still wiping away tears behind cameras. But this time he had left a door cracked open for them to walk through. He pulled out his phone and typed a short message. Keep going, Jada, and when you're ready, let's talk district leadership. He hit send. Didn't need an answer right away, because now he knew she would never stay silent again. They thought she was just a smiling cashier, but in truth she was the voice of those who were never heard. And sometimes, a single silent tear in a break room can become the lever that shifts an entire system. If this story touched you, if you've ever stayed silent, witnessed injustice but couldn't speak up, please share this video. Comment where you're watching from so we know how far this voice has traveled. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you won't miss stories like this, raw, real, and healing from Toch Story. We tell them so you won't feel alone, and so this world even just a little becomes kinder.